Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Results Show. I am your host, JBlaze39, and brought to you by DailyDraftAnalysis.com, with your one-stop shop for all your NFL and other needs. So your other sports, any kind of question you have, we can take care of it for you. The site is dailydraftanalysis.com. Check us out. You get a free month to check us out, and we just try to go through each matchup and each week and break it all down in straight terms and no fluff. Just kind of a lot of straight talk. So, and on who we like, just each week is different. So we got to approach, our lineup construction appropriately. So that means, it's got to, kind of roll with the punches on because every week is going to be. What worked last week might not work this week. It's going to change, but we have to stay consistent with our approach, and it's a process. Stick with the process, and you will be successful. Now, if you're just going after GPPs without the cash, might be a hard road, but it can be done. You want your cash lines to hit, your safe plays to do well, so you can be able to keep in the game. So, but everything is correlation. Anybody that knows me that I'm a GPP player at heart. I'm the big tournament guy. That's what I go for mostly. So, but I've learned how to do the cash games too, and it sure helps. So, and that's my goal, is to help you guys to learn the process and to trust it, because it works. If you trust the process and you just stick with the plan, it'll work, definitely. It's amazing how that happens. So let's get into this week's games. We got some different, a lot of injury news this week that I want to get to. And it's going to affect a lot of games. Starting off, we got, we also got some quarterback changes, a lot of things happening in various teams here. So something to really keep an eye on, and that's why by keeping up to date, by going to DailyDraftAnalysis.com, we can keep up to date on all the changes, all the news happening. So, first of all, the biggest news is our quarterback for Houston, Deshaun Watson, goes down with a torn ACL. That's a huge hit for Houston and their fantasy players, for that matter. I think this increases Lamar Miller's stock. I think he's good for cash this week. As far as Hopkins and Fuller, I think this affects Fuller more than Hopkins, because Hopkins is going to get targets still. Fuller's more touchdown dependent. Yeah, he did have 5 receptions last week, but um, I I this week's game. Okay, I'm just gonna get into, and I was gonna start with a different game, but we'll start with this game. Um, this game started off at 48, and Texans were favored by 14. Now they're favored by 7. With an over under 45 points now. That that's I mean I think that's a lot to do with Watson going down. That difference, that spread. That's a huge spread, though. Oh my gosh, 7 points. Because of a quarterback. Wow, that's pretty telling. I have a sneaking feeling that this is going to turn into. See, the point total is still at 45. I just have this feeling that this game's still going to be a higher owned game. It's a division game. They know each other well. It's indoors. Indoor games seem to benefit the offenses. And it's a faster game. So this is going to be a game that a lot of people are going to overlook. And in large field GPPs, this is something that you could exploit. I'm not saying go crazy with it, but have a few shares of it. Of a game stack on this, on both sides, because in order to be a quarterback in this league, you have to have some talent, and so Tom Savage has some talent. A lot of people are saying, "Nah, that guy sucks" or whatever. He might not be that great, but I mean he's not mobile, like Watson is, and that's part of it. He does take a lot of sacks, but I tell you what, some of that is on the offensive line. The first game, maybe the offensive line wasn't all set yet. They hadn't played together for a while yet. They're still trying to figure stuff out. And for the first few games, Watson had to, escape and use his athleticism to get out of, some of those issues. But maybe since then, I think the offensive line has gotten better for Houston. And maybe this time around, when Tom Savage is under center, he can actually look like a competent quarterback. So, the way I would approach this, I would maybe, if you're gonna stack this game, I would do two lineups. I would stack Brissett from Indy with Doyle and T.Y. Hilton, or maybe even a Marlon Mack. But Doyle for sure. And if you want to get even a little more sneaky, you could go with Dante Moncrief as the home run hitter. Kind of like the same role that Fuller plays for Houston. So, but on the other side, if you're gonna stack it, go with Hopkins, and then maybe Griffin. Fedorich will be back next week, but Ryan Griffin is a sneaky play this week for tight end. Usually when a new quarterback comes in, the tight end seems to be his best friend. So, and Indy's not very good against the pass. So, it could be an interesting way to approach this. This is now, keep in mind, this isn't for cash. This is for GPP only. So this type of approach. But for one, there won't be anybody on this game. So you're going to get low ownership all around because everybody's going to be scared off of Hopkins and Fuller because of not having what is perceived a competent quarterback. Well, okay, that can use that to your advantage. Use that bias, use that recency bias to as an edge for people. Now this applies mostly for the Millionaire Maker or just a large field GPPs. Okay, so I'll probably have one or two lineups out with Brissett and that combination I was telling you. And then I'll probably have another one with Savage and Hopkins, and then what's his name? T.Y. Hilton, because T.Y. Hilton's been been squawking this week while getting the ball. So you know what happens then? Squeaky wheel usually gets the targets next week. So look for that. I think a lot of people are going to overlook T.Y. Hilton this week. So use that to their advantage. Anyway, let's move on to the next game here. And just, if you really, one more thought on the Houston game. If you really want to, I can see taking the Houston defense and Lamar Miller. If you want to go that way. If you don't want to stack the game, or use Hilton or Doyle or something like that. If you just want a piece of this and I think it's going to be play to the under, you can go that route too. It's all about how you. I laid out my thoughts of what I think is going to happen. But if it goes the other way, you're covered. So. Next game, we're gonna. In fact, this one has some changes too. So it's there's a sneeze coming on there. The Denver Broncos heading into Philadelphia. The opening spread was 44.5. Now since then it's went down. The points have went down to 41. I think that's some of the news when Trevor Siemian got benched in favor of well, I call him the Stork. Freaking the Brock Osweiler, the guy. I'm all over Philly. The Philly defense is my number one play this week. But I'm probably. I know Jay Ajayi just got traded over there, but according to the beat writers and such, doesn't sound like Ajayi is going to get a whole lot of playing time this week. I don't know if that's accurate. You could throw him in for one lineup. just in case. But Zach Ertz is the man here, and it's a type of thing where I like to stack the defense with the running backs as a correlation play. So you could go back to the well with I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. Shoot. Hold on, let me look it up here. Dang it. Hold on, let me take it. Hold on. Okay, we're back. The guy's name I was thinking of is LeGarrette Blount. You could go back to him for this week. Because here I heard a theory this week that someone had that it kind of makes some sense. Now Philly's 5 they've only lost one game, so their chances are they're going to make the playoffs. They're like the best team in the NFC right now. But what the case was made for LeGarrette Blount to be basically run into the ground, and they're gonna because they're gonna use him a lot coming up here, and not as much, and they're gonna save Jay Ajayi a little more, so he has fresh legs going into the playoffs. And the reason being is LeGarrette Blount is going to be a free agent after this year. They don't care. The Cowboys kind of did that a few years ago with DeMarco Murray. They ran him into the ground because they knew they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. So, and it paid off for them, and really, DeMarco Murray really hasn't been the same since. But having playing the Blount is an interesting play. It's risky. He's one dimensional. He doesn't really catch the ball a lot. He has, on occasion. But Denver's, defense is run defense. They're like number 2 run defense in the league. So that's something to consider. So, but he knows it well because with his days with the Patriots, he's had some good games there too. So it's basically. The only plays in this game for me is Philly's defense, maybe Demarcus Thomas or Derek Thomas, Demaryius Thomas, from the Broncos, and maybe I guess Emmanuel Sanders is coming back this week. I don't know. With Osweiler, I don't know. He seems to favor. When he was in Denver before, he favored Thomas over Sanders. So that's something to consider. But Zach Ertz and Philly defense and maybe LeGarrette Blount. I don't like Carson Wentz this year or this week. Although He has the potential, and just when we think it's too predictable, that here's something that's confusing about this total, Vegas total, because games that have these kind of defenses generally are, 37, 39 point type games, or over-unders. But it is telling that it came down from 44 to 41. So you're getting closer. So maybe that, there is something to that. Really either defense is in play, but I like Philly because they're at home. I see a 20-16 game. That's what or first 1 to 20 wins, basically. So, it's the only plays here for me are Ertz, Philly defense, LeGarrette Blount, and maybe Demaryius Thomas. That's about it for there, and we'll move on. So the next game I'm going to talk about is the Rams, LA Rams, going into New York to face the Giants. This game started off at 43.5. It's went down to 42, but the line went in the Rams' favor. Went up to 4.5. Rams games this year have been playing to the over a lot. All right, on this game, the Rams and the Giants. I tell you, what I like. This is a sneaky. I'm not. Okay. I have probably 3 or 4 games that I'm targeting this week. They're not always going to be the top point. Now, everybody's going to be on the Kansas City Dallas game. That's, in essence, that's going to be the hammer game for a lot of people. There's some value and pieces to be taken away from a few of these other games. The Rams are coming off their bye, and they're facing a Giants defense that has allowed top 12 results to 5 of the last 7 quarterbacks they faced, and that includes Jameis Winston, Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson. I guess you could throw Trevor Siemian in there too, but he just got benched, so who knows? Now, Janoris Jenkins just got suspended also, for one game suspension. So that's going to benefit the Rams passing game a lot, namely Sammy Watkins. he's kind of a forgotten guy now. A lot of people are kind of off of him now. Robert Woods is kind of taking over there, but Sammy Watkins can be the big play guy. I could see a case of Woods getting getting the a lot of the targets, and then Sammy Watkins taking the top off with over the top. So we saw last week that the play that won the million was having was in the Seattle Houston game, to Game Stack. Okay, now what did that guy do? He had two receivers from that game on the same team. That doesn't always happen. But when it does, because when the game goes off, like this one could. Now this is going to be dependent on the weather in New York. We're going to monitor that. If it's a nice weather day, this game could be in play. Nobody will be on this game. Nobody. As far as the stacking type, But Goff is having a really good year. The Rams are they lead the NFC in points per game at 30 points a game. That's surprising coming from a 2-win team from last year. It's so what you could do. The way I would handle this is I would take Goff and pair him up with Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins. Or you could do Sammy Watkins and Todd Gurley. And then on the other side, go with Evan Ingram or that's Sterling Shepard maybe. No, the only plays for them are gonna be Evan Ingram and Orleans Darkwa. That's the only ones I'm considering. Ingram gets the targets a lot. He's the focal point of the offense now. So I guess a case could be made for Cooper Kupp, whatever. I don't know. I if people are gonna go to the Rams, they're probably gonna go to him. I would go to Watkins or Woods. So, but the thing about to consider is Cooper Kupp. His matchup is against Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. It's he could get some red zone targets, as far but and he does. I just don't like the matchup with DRC. So, I'm leaning towards the other guys. So, all right, let's move on. Let's move to a better game here. Well, I mean, not better, but just I guess more cash, type of game. We're gonna go to. Let's see here. What do we got next here? We got Tampa Bay going into New Orleans, the Big Easy, to face the Saints. This game started off at 50 point total, which is huge, with the Saints favored by 7. Now, it has since gone to 52 and favored by up to 10 for the Saints. Some of that is contingent and brought on, I think, because of the uncertainty if Winston is going to play. If he doesn't, then it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, the beard, going to play. Now, last time we saw Fitzpatrick, he was throwing more passes to the other team than his own. So, personally, I'm kind of approaching this game like I am with the Houston Indy game. Okay. Yes, there will be a lot of people on this game, but I think this game is going to go to the under. I like. Okay. This game, Drew Brees is in play for sure. The pass defense for Tampa Bay is horrible. But I'm not going to the easy, Michael Thomas. Or you could game stack it. You could go to, and here's another one. There's like 3 games, or 4 games you can game stack. And then the rest you can just pick pieces from here and there. So Michael Thomas is going to be more chalky. A lot of people are just going to, gravitate towards the top receiver. And that's fine. That's going to work. I'll have some Drew Brees to Michael Thomas. But I like Drew Brees. Actually, I almost like Drew Brees to Brendan Coleman or Ted Ginn in this matchup. Or you could just go with Brees and Ingram or Kamara and get all the touchdowns and get all the points. Kind of similar to Dak and Zeke. You don't know where, because Drew Brees he spreads the ball around so much, we don't know which one's going to get, the majority of the passes. So you could go with, Drew Brees naked, basically. It's of course, Mike Evans on the other side, yeah, play him. The guy is matchup proof pretty much, except when he comes up against Xavier Rhodes. Even then, he did all right. He wasn't, great. But he's going to get the volume. If I have to choose between Ingram and Kamara. I'm choosing Kamara this week, and this is mainly because of the way it's set up. I think that it's more of a leverage play because of ownership. I think more owners will be going to Ingram. Well, I'm going to go to Kamara instead, because I think this is more of a passing type of game script for the Saints than last week. Last week was a running script because they were going up against the Bears. And they were outside. Here they're in the dome, so that's something to look at. Another guy that could be in play is Deshaun Jackson. He has had some good games in New Orleans. Now, albeit when he was with other teams, but he has had good games there. So that's if you really getting ballsy here, I guess you could hope for lightning in a bottle and go with Ryan Fitzpatrick if he plays, and Mike Evans, or Deshaun Jackson, or both of them. And then come back with Kamara, or I guess you could go with Michael Thomas in that, or Teddy Ginn. So, that's an interesting dynamic. That is a shot in the dark type of lineup. That's your home run hitter type of lineup. Where because Fitzpatrick, for all the crap he's gotten, the bad rap of getting thrown more touchdowns the opponent, interception machine. You know what? Prior to that, people forget he had some really good games. He's capable. He's not he's a competent quarterback still. It's just it just baffles me how people just make this rash judgment on, they put labels on these guys that just have the ability, just been in the wrong situation. Now, is the odds against that happening real good? Yeah, that's at this stage, yeah. But take that shot. That's how you win GPP. Toss it into a $3 one. Toss it into a quarter. What do you have to lose? If you're making multiple lineups, if you're only making one or two lineups, oh hell no way. But if you're making multiple lineups, 20 lineups, 50 lineups, 150 lineups, yeah, I'd take a shot. All right, let's this podcast is gonna go long, boy. At this rate, all right, let's move on to yeah, this one's gonna be short. Cincinnati going into Jacksonville. Over under is 39. Jags opened at 3.5 point favorites. They've since went to 5.5 point favorites. This one's really simple. Don't play any passing game from Cincy. I guess you could take a shot AJ Green in a low ownership, stud, leverage play, just in case. I don't bank on it. but he's kind of matchup proof, so he's going to get the volume. And we've seen that happen to AJ Green before. He's done this before, So there is something to be said for that. That could be a piece that could work. Beyond that, take Jacksonville defense, and not in the same lineup, but take the Jacksonville defense and Leonard Fournette, and just move on. That's that's the way I'm going. The Eagles and Jacksonville and the Saints are my 3 favorite defenses this week. Yeah. And also, I'm going to move on to the next game. I mean, that was easy. Next game, we're going to go to Atlanta, going against Carolina. There's been a little movement here. Started off at 44 and came down to 42. But Carolina's favored on this one? Wow, by 2.5. They started off at 1, now they're 2.5. There's something interesting there. That doesn't seem right because they it's a division game. How'd Carolina go ahead? I'll have to check into that more. There's something doesn't seem right there. Because Carolina just got, they traded away their what was perceived as their number 1 receiver, Calvin Benjamin. And so who do they have left? They have this Curtis Samuel, who could burst on the scene here. Now, a lot of people are going to just go with the old Devin Funchess. Anytime he's went against number 1 DBs, he has failed miserably. If people, to be honest, I hope a lot of people are on Funchess this week. Because I am fading Funchess this week. I do not like him this week. I like some secondary guys. Carolina, if you're gonna play Carolina, obviously you're gonna do Cam Newton, and then pair him up with either Ed Dixon, or Curtis Samuel, or I seen another guy that was talked about. Where was he here? Well, let's see here. There was a Robinson. His last name Desmond Robinson or something like that. Is a cheap. If you're playing on DraftKings, he is a cheap play. It's like 3,200. If you need a punt, where was it? I saw it. I saw it talked about in actually in the DFS Army. It made a lot of sense to me. Let's see here. Yeah, Robinson. He's a good punt play. If Kevin likes him, well, I like him too. So, anyway, it's I can't think of his name right now. Here, let me look him up here. Let's see here. We got. Let's give me a second here. Computer's slow. Anyway, as I'm looking this up, it's this game is it's got some moving parts to it. Let's see here. Okay, here. Okay, now I'm thinking of somebody else now. It's not Robinson from the. I'll get to him in a little while here in the next matchup. It is going to be. Yeah, the only people. Okay, I was mistaken there. I was thinking of another team here. Sorry. Okay, the only people I'm gonna play in this game. You could go with Julio Jones. I mean, yeah, he hasn't done shit all year, but the minute you come off of him, he blows up. So you can take a shot. I'm not feeling very confident with it, but yeah, my favorite play though is Devontae Freeman. And that, it's, maybe Mohamed Sanu. I don't trust him. I don't like. I just have a hard time with him. If you like him, go ahead, have at it. I don't. But I do like Taylor Gabriel also, if they use him right. And actually, there's a guy that kind of came on the scene here. He caught one pass. I don't know, that might be just a fluky deal, but it's Marvin Hall. He caught the home run. He caught the long bomb. Was it a week or two ago? That's someone that if you really scratching, for somebody, he could be in play. But Curtis Samuel for the Panthers, Russell Shepard maybe, they might use Fuzzy Whitaker a little more too in the passing game. That's something to look at. So, yeah, it's this is the type of game where you just want a couple pieces from. Just a filler, just to fill in. You're not going to game stack this one. Okay. These two teams again, division rival. It is a these two teams have had some barn burners too. So here, let me look at their history here. Let's see here, Carolina at home. Okay. All right. The last two matchups have at home in Carolina have actually. Gee, here, hold on a second here. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 6 games have had at least points in the 30s. By the winning team. So it's been pretty split on who wins. So a lot of these have been blowouts actually. Now 2 years ago, Carolina beat Atlanta 38-0. That's interesting. Last year, the Falcons won 33-16. Now, I want to know what the dynamics were in that 2015 game. Who was doing the work? Okay, that was the year of Cam Newton's really good, that's MVP year. So, and what do you know? Ed Dickson had a touchdown in that game. Also, Fuzzy Whitaker had a good game. Of course, that was before, McCaffrey came on the scene. And before Cam's shoulder being a mess. So that the bottom line is this Freeman. Yeah, Freeman didn't do a whole lot that game. He did 12 rushes for 40 yards. But then looking last year, now these are games in so if you're looking for DVP, you're looking for recent, just history of these games, of these two matchups. There is a case to be made that there's some offense here. A game script where it could be a high scoring shootout. But it looks more like it's been one sided, and blowouts on one way or the other here. The way it looks. Yeah, it's a lot of field goals in these games. So if you're playing on FanDuel, you can go with a kicker here. I would recommend that. So anyway, let's take a break. Again, this is the Fantasy Results Show with your host Jay Blaze 39. We'll take a word from your sponsor and from the dailydraftanalysis.com, and we'll be back in a second here. All right, welcome back. Our next matchup here is the Baltimore Ravens going into Tennessee to face the Titans. Titans are just coming off a bye. Baltimore just came off of 10 days rest, basically, from playing on Thursday night. So both teams are rested. Over-under is 43. Looks like the line has come down to Tennessee by 3. It used to be 5. It's interesting. We don't know for sure the status of Joe Flacco yet. But let's see here. Really, okay. I hate saying this. Baltimore plays a weird game. Baltimore's like my second favorite team, from a personal aspect. But from of course, the first is the Vikings, but they play a weird kind of game usually, and they have a really good defense. But they're not very good against a tight end. Now, Mariota is intriguing to me. He's always intriguing. I'm a little biased because he he was the quarterback that helped me win my big tournament. So I have a little soft spot for him. I'll be honest. But all things being what they are, I think what I like this week, for this week in this game, is there's really only a couple plays I like. I like Mariota and Delaney Walker, assuming he plays, because tight ends have done very well against the Ravens this year. Now, looks like Jeremy Maclin's going to be back for the Ravens. But he doesn't have a whole lot of upside, but he will catch you. He'll get you 10 to 15 points. And if that's all you're looking for, he could be part of a stack here. I don't. Corey Davis is going to be back for the Titans. They're hot high draft pick this year. And that's going to change up some dynamics to the Titans passing game. And I don't know who's going to get the beneficiary. That's going to be... The Titans like to run a lot of two tight end sets, run heavy type of looks. And, the Ravens defense has allowed the second fewest fantasy points to the wide receiver position. With Corey Davis coming back, and that's gonna push Eric Decker back into the slot. But he's only gonna be playing in sub packages. So he won't be on the field all the time. So, that's something to consider. I just, maybe in the red zone, Eric Decker might have some interest here. I guess, Corey Davis, he's got the talent. But, okay, we're grasping at straws here. I don't see the upside here. The only plays are Mariota and Delaney Walker. I'm not touching the running game of either team. If you want to take a shot, okay. DeMarco Murray has, outsnapped Derrick Henry, 40 or 60% to 42%. And touches for 21 for Murray, and to 15 for Henry. So, but Henry is very touchdown dependent. So also, you could go with a Titans defense here. Joe Flacco, if he's not playing well, or he's prone to interceptions too. So that could be a strategy to use if you want to go that route. With maybe Henry and Tennessee defense. So, that's all I got for that game. Let's see here. Now we'll move on to the 4 o'clock games. Let's hear 1 second here. All right, our next game, first game we're going to look at is, this is an ugly one. Arizona going to San Francisco. Over under at 39.5. I'll make this nice and easy. I'm out. I'm X out on this game. Don't even look at this one. The only interest I have possibly is Carlos Hyde. Maybe Larry Fitzgerald. Otherwise, okay, I like to take some deep punts and take some chances in some tournaments. And even I don't see the upside in this one. So just take that for what it is. Now watch it go for 38-35 game or something. One thing I will say about this game is these are bad teams, both bad teams. What have we seen in the past? Two bad teams. Neither one can stop each other. But on this one, neither one has an offense. So, okay, if you want to take some money, take the running backs from each position or each side, Peterson and Hyde. If you want some punt plays, I guess they're not really punts because they're pretty expensive. Yeah, that's all I got on this one. All right, now let's move on. This next game is one I really like. Now everybody's going to go to the next one, okay? And everybody's going to go to the Kansas City Dallas game, and that one's at. Wow, I really jumped up. Okay. I just seen that the line from the Dallas Kansas City game jumped from 48.5 to 53.5. Wow. Okay, I know what happened there. They got the news of Ezekiel Elliott going to play, and that bumped it up to 53. That's what happened there. Dallas is favored by 2.5. Let's just talk about this game. All right. What I like about this, I do recommend game stacking this one. You're gonna want exposure to this one for sure. Stack it up, like with Dak, Zeke, Dez. It's on the other side, you got I like Tyreek Hill. I like Hunt. I even like some Alex Smith. But the guy who could be a good punt play to pair up in tournaments in this one is this Denard Robinson from Kansas City. He's been getting the snaps, and he's very much under the radar. He's 3,200 on DraftKings. This could be your home run hitter to put you over the top in a tournament. I'm not saying to go all in on him. I'm just saying keep him in your loop here of punt plays to use. Demarcus Robinson. I'm sorry. Robinson played like 82% of the snaps last week. And he has led all Chiefs and receivers in snaps in weeks 6 and 7. That's something that's very, very interesting. Dallas is 25th against the wide receiver 2 in the DVOA. It's a statistic that kind of real stats of game flow and how it takes everything into account. So and they've allowed the third most passes to the position. The second wide receiver seems to get a lot of targets against the Cowboys. I like that one a lot, actually. So what you could do, the way I read that, is if you want to stack this up, go with Zeke, Dak, and then Hunt and Robinson, or Kelsey and Robinson, one of the two, one of those two combinations. And then the other side, stack it up with, take one lineup with Alex Smith, with Robinson and Hunt, or Kelsey and Hunt, or Tyreek Hill and Robinson. There's a lot of different combinations you could use here. You could just take it as a flyer on its own too, with Robinson. So have some exposure. Cole Beasley is an interesting play here. To get Terrence Williams is in play. He may only get you, his upside is limited, but for cash, he could get you enough to make it go. So, but a lot of people just keep in mind in this game, there's going to be a lot of people on this game. So if you're trying to separate yourself, you're going to have to, tweak things a little bit. So, just remember that. So, anyway, let's move on to Washington going into Seattle. That sounded interesting, the way I said that. Isn't Seattle going into Washington? Because on the surface, they're from the same state, but never mind. Those jokes aside, no, the Washington Redskins are going across country to the West Coast to face Seattle. Now, over under is 45. Not quite the total of the other one, but it's still a decent total. Now the lines come down from 8 to 7. It's not a whole lot, but it's something. It's in the direction towards Washington. That's something to consider. I like to stack this one up. Like I said, there are 3 or 4 games I like to stack up. Okay, I'm probably looking to stack the Dallas game, the Seattle game, the Houston game, what was the other one? The Rams game, and maybe the New Orleans game. So it's that's the way it's shaping up. And I could be wrong, and this could blow up in my face, but it's a total GPP play. Okay, it's a leverage play. because there won't be much ownership. There'll be a fair amount of ownership because of what Russell Wilson did last week, but not enough to make a dent, okay? I'm starting Russell Wilson, and I'm starting Doug Baldwin and Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham for sure, because of Washington can't stop the tight end. I don't like the other two receivers this week. I know they went off last week. But I don't like them this week. On Washington side, I like Chris Thompson and Jay Crowder, and then Dotson is another guy that actually I like Vernon Davis also. So I think I'm pretty sure that Reed is out. So that opens the door. Anyway, that's the way I'm approaching this. Is the pass catching back from Washington doesn't sound like Kelly might not play. Fat Rob Kelly, and also Seattle doesn't have a running game. It's non-existent. So I guess in a punt play. Now this has to do with if Procise is still out. If Procise is still out, I'll have to check on that. But if he's still out, this McKissick could be a sneaky 1% type play. Kind of the big plays. Mainly because everybody's going to be going to Chris Thompson. Well, go the other way. So I'm going to zig when everybody else zigs. So, but go with, I like Seattle's defense, but I think they're too expensive. But they are going against, okay. It's East Coast going up to to the West Coast. So, they're going across two time zones, but they're playing a later game. I don't put as much stock in this, so we're good. Now we got to keep an eye on all the weather on all these games. Just FYI, I got weather updates on my website. You can check out. It's up to the minute. So keep up to date on that. So we got 2 games left. None of them are in the main slate for the Millionaire Maker on DraftKings or those main slates. But if you're on FanDuel, these might be on the card for you, or if you're playing a different slate. So, Oakland going into Miami for Sunday Night Football. Sounds like Jay Cutler's going to play again. Over-under is 43.5. It's actually went up to 44. And Oakland's favored by 3. Miami just got rid of their top running back. So, I don't know who's going to step up and take the reins here. But my guess is going to be Kenyon Drake is the most logical choice here. I think he's got the most upside. I I don't mind him this week. They are going to try to run the ball. The Raiders aren't very good at stopping the run. So that could be an interesting play. I still think Kenny Stills is in play. And it sounds like Devontae Parker's back. But the guy I like is Landry. So yeah, it's okay. The only guy on Oakland I like. I like Derek Carr this week and pairing up with Michael Crabtree. Jalen Richard could be in play. Could be a sneaky play. Miami's defense could be a play with Kenyon Drake. Julius Thomas could be in play. Jared Cook could be in play. I'm kind of scratching the bottom here, but these guys could be all could be in play. So this game, I see this game as a 26-19 game. I think Oakland wins. But it's going to be I think it's going to be kind of a sloppy game. So there's that. So you could also take, I don't like taking road defenses, but here we got Oakland defense. For a GPP, if you're trying to save some money, you could take Oakland defense. You'd be cheap. You'd be able to fit other guys in. And going against Jake Cutler, you don't know what you're going to get. So, and I mean, that's it could be the good Jay Cutler, where he throws 3 touchdowns, or you could get the other, the Jekyll and Hyde, the other side, throwing 5 interceptions. So I mean, there's the definition of a GPP quarterback, really, or GPP defense going against that. So it's risky, but it can work. Last game of the weekend. Detroit going into Green Bay. Detroit's favored by 2. Over-under's 43.5. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is out. Brent Hundley is not someone I want to deal with. Aaron Jones, however, I want some shares of him. I also this game it's been a back and forth type of game, but that's with Aaron Rodgers in it. This game's going to have a different feel. I see this being a field goal fest. Maybe 21-16 game. Something along those lines. But I think Detroit's going to win. Now, I like the guys I like in this one, it's simple. Stanford, and Golden Tate, and Amir Abdullah. Say that fast 3 times. And then also Aaron Jones on the other side. I guess the receivers, they're technically in play, but I don't have a good feeling about Jordy Nelson or the other receivers, Cobb or Adams. Which now Huntley, he does offer some running ability, so that is something to consider. I don't see a lot here. Usually I would, but I don't. So those of you who are playing this slate, good luck to you. But yeah, I don't. Detroit defense is okay. Go. What I would do is go Amir Abdullah and Detroit defense. End of story. All right, that'll do it for the matchups for this week. Again, keep in mind that it's all correlation when you're building your lineups. Just limit your reverse correlations. That just means that's basics. That's